What up, peeps? It's your boy Heckin Steve. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're gonna pour one out for the single player campaigns. Gotta get off that multiplayer, man. This happens to me too much, and I'm sure it happens to everyone else. You end up with a couple hours at the end of the day after working, doing all of your obligations. You end up with, a couple hours to play some video games. And so you sit down, and then you end up on Call of Duty or Fortnite, Rocket League, Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. Is that what they call it? I can't even remember the name of the game. I think it is Marvel Rivals. But yeah, you end up on these multiplayer games, man. And then you have all these single player games just waiting for you. They're saying, Steve, don't you remember how good it felt to play Dynasty Warriors Origins? Or Steve, you want to come back and try some Sparking Zero again? We miss you, buddy. Or, whatever it may be. Dude, I'm just going to name off, okay, I have 18 PS5 games right here. I think it's 18, might be a little more. I'm going to name off the ones that I didn't beat the campaigns for, that I own. Played all of them, for the most part, but Modern Warfare 2, Dead Island 2, Diablo 4, Sparking Zero, Dynasty Warriors Origins, God of War Ragnarok, Gundam Breaker 4, Hogwarts Legacy, Spider-Man 2, Mortal Kombat 1, Resident Evil 4 the Remake, Sackboy, Stray, Tekken 8, Suikoden 1 and 2. I just got that one, but I'm probably not going to beat both of them, let's be honest. Two humongous RPGs. But yeah, that's just the PS5 stuff. And, that happens to be the case for most of the consoles that I have. And you have to be okay with that, especially like if you want to own these games and pay like full price for them. You're going to have to be okay with the fact that you're not going to complete them. But I think nowadays multiplayer does hinder that. Gaming is not like how it used to be where, you could only play multiplayer if somebody was in the same room with you. Couch co-op style. But nowadays, everything is connected online, and you have access to way more games than you used to, especially if you have Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. And so you add that on top of the fact that you're buying games to collect that you want to play through. And don't get me wrong, I've played through most of the games that I own. I've played like a couple hours to anywhere from like an hour and a half to like 20 to 30 hours on average. Some games I did play all the way through. But you have to be okay with the fact that you're not going to be able to complete every game. There's just too many that are good, that are coming out, that you're going to be interested in. Unless you're a very specific gamer. Obviously RPG players are eating good these days. So, that's going to be tough. Hell, people are still playing Dark Souls, and they're still playing Elden Ring. People still playing Skyrim, and that's cool. It's okay to dedicate your time to a specific game and play through it, but I think that multiplayer plays a bigger role than we like to admit sometimes. If you only have a couple hours to game a day, more than likely you're going to choose to spend that playing games and hanging out with your buddies. We end up playing these games as background noise, just so we can like have a reason to be in a group and talk and just hang out, and that's completely different, experience compared to how gaming used to be. Now, there are some people out there that still, complete their single player games start to finish, and that's sweet. I don't have the time to do it. I just picked up this Yu-Gi-Oh collection. I was really happy to get this, and I've only played about an hour or two of the game. And I'll probably end up playing more of it, for sure, but dude, there's games like Cyberpunk 2077. I've been told so many times this game is great and I need to play it. And it is never on my mind when I sit down to play games. I'll sit there, I'll sit here and stare at this wall and be like, man, there ain't shit to play. It just happens, But I think that we spend too much time on these multiplayer games sometimes, and especially when they have all these microtransactions and stuff, it's kind of like a bad habit for gaming, I think. Because there are still some single-player experiences that are unique, that you don't get anywhere else, and they only cost you the price of admission. like Stray, for example. I think I paid like $30 for that, you know, and there's no other game that plays like that as far as I've ever experienced. But I end up playing a couple of hours of it, and then that's it. You know, was it worth the $30? Probably to me, yeah. And the fact that I have it and can go back and play it whenever I want to is cool. But, you know, you're never going to complete your backlog. You need to just be able to accept that. There is no way in hell, especially if you're an adult and you have like a job and a family or a social life, or if you want to sleep or bathe, you're not going to have enough time to play every single game that you buy, unless you only buy like one game a year or one game every couple of months. But yeah, got to get off these multiplayer games, man, because it's so easy. It's so easy to say, yeah, I'll just play that single player game later. I got to play with my buddies. They're online now. It's now or never. And I think that for a lot of people too, playing single player games just don't feel right unless you have an audience. Like I know for me, I'll end up playing a game, like a single player game, longer if I'm streaming it and hanging out with you guys like while I'm playing it, compared to me just sitting down by myself and just playing the game. It's been a really long time since I've done that, like spent a lot of time by myself, just focused me in the game. You know, there's always either somebody there in the room, there's somebody either co-op in the game with me, or I'm, you know, playing an online multiplayer game that doesn't matter, you know, like Black Ops 6 or whatever game the people are, the buddies are trying to play, or streaming the game. Like last night, for example, I played WWE 2K25, and I streamed the showcase mode, which is like their campaign for the game. And I streamed for like 3.5 hours. Now, do you think that I would have sat down and played that game, like showcase mode, for 3.5 hours straight? Probably not. I probably would have played like 2 or 3 of the matches in showcase, and then I would have went and checked out my faction, or, you know, made a wrestler or something like that. I would have done other things. But so I don't really need to stream to be able to do that, but then it makes it more entertaining that way to be able to talk to somebody while I do it. It's like I need to be distracted a little bit and not hyper focused on it. And that's a weird thing to kind of like think about, you know. And I thought about it this morning. I said, man, do I need somebody else to acknowledge me playing a single player game for me to enjoy a single player game these days? And the answer obviously is no, but for some reason that's how I want it to be. But yeah, I'm trying to spend less time playing multiplayer games, and I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Unite, having fun with that. And that's another thing too, is like, I think it's easier to accept games like that when you only have like 2 to 3 hours or 90 minutes to play in a day. You're like, well, Pokemon Unite's only like a 10-minute round, so I don't have to be dedicated for really long to accomplish stuff. I can just play for like 2 or 3 rounds. It's about 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, and then I can get out and not feel like I stopped at a place that's going to be hard to continue from later. You know, shit like that. And I think about how gaming was back in the day, like when they were mostly Super Nintendo cartridges. You know, you didn't have a lot of options for saving. You just, you know, you played it, and then when you stopped playing it, they might give you a password. Some games had the passcode, like would take you to a specific place. But, you know, a lot of games didn't have that. It was just, you turn it on, and you play it, you get as far as you can, and then when you turn it off, you got to start over. Or, you know, there was no infinite continues. Like I was playing, you know, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. This game is stupid hard, especially if you play multiplayer, because you'll run into each other, you'll get confused who's who, because everything's happening so fast. But even when you run out of lives, you could just continue infinitely. So, I mean, it's you know, it's catering to you, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, man. These are just some things that I've observed with multiplayer gaming versus single player gaming, and how single player gaming, even though it is single player, a lot of the times you have to like implement some kind of connection externally to even be able to enjoy it. I don't know, maybe that's just a problem that I have. But let me know what you guys think below, man. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.